Hello and welcome to AmeriCord Registry and our webinar today. We are so excited to have you guys on today. My name is Casey and I am the marketing director here at AmeriCord, and today I have the immense privilege of being joined by Amanda and Shawn Fohs and Marty Smith-Meyer. We are excited to jump into their story about how they chose to bank their daughter's stem cells and later use them to treat their daughter's autism. Amanda and Shawn, thank you guys so much for hopping on and joining with us and sharing your story.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to just jump in and get started. I know, just curious, I'd love to know how you guys found out about cord blood banking and what was it that made you interested in pursuing this for your daughter?
Well, I think when I went to my doctors for all my pregnancy, you guys had pamphlets, which, you know, you're always sitting in the doctor's office. It's easy to learn more things. And both my husband and I were very interested in learning more of the process. And our doctor was very accepting of that.
And Amanda's doctor originally kind of informed us of some of the different possibilities, different options. Even back then, they were starting to use it for more treatment options. So it's kind of one of those things where, as we were going through the process and learning about it, thought it would be better to have and hopefully not need it than need it and not have it. So kind of as we were learning a bit more from our own research, and then her doctor was really informative as far as helping us understand kind of what some of the possibilities were in an area where hopefully it was going to expand to additional opportunities in the future.
Yeah, I love how you say that it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I think that's so true for a lot of things. And in your guys' instance, you were able to use it and significantly improve Olivia's, how she is. And so I want to get to that here in a little bit, but I'd love to know a little, once you saw AmeriCord in the doctor's office and chatted with your doctor, how was your experience working with the actual AmeriCord team, figuring out what option worked best for your family in that process?
I think it was pretty self-explanatory when they told us how easy the process was. At our time, there was only two options. I believe one was pay in full, then yearly, and then pay in full, and then 18 years of storage, I believe, when we did it. But it was sometimes it can be intimidating a little bit because you don't know what else you have to do while you're pregnant. But they made it so easy. They said you just needed this phone number after you give birth, and they handled it. You didn't have to worry about anything.
The big part of it too was when we did talk to our doctor, it's kind of the self-contained kit. So when we talked to the doctor and signed up for it, you received everything at once. Doctor kind of handled it at birth, and there wasn't really a whole lot else we had to do. And kind of the simplicity of, I guess, all the things going on at childbirth, having one less thing to worry about. You kind of sign up, get everything in place, and then when you actually need to go through the quick and easy.
Well, that's one of the nice things too with AmeriCord. It's just you get the all-in-one kit and you get all of the options. Today, we now offer cord blood, cord tissue, and placental tissue, and our kits are built in a way that parents can choose up to birth what products or what services they're wanting to store. And so I love hearing that it was just so easy and stress-free for you guys in your process for that. So how early on in your guys' pregnancy did you choose to make this decision?
It was quite a while in advance. It was a few months prior.
Yeah, well, I ended up getting gestational diabetes really early, and that was one of the things that I think at the time stem cells were being used for. So we got really nervous about how later in life you could have more issues with it. So that was another factor. We were like, okay, let's just do it, just in case.
Right. And that's, again, that just in case turned out to be a good decision to make. So you guys ended up banking Olivia's stem cells, and it was a few years before you guys actually started to look into if there was an option to use the stem cells. What was that triggering factor to make you guys make that decision?
To actually use them?
To use them, yeah.
Yeah. So really a lot of it was around just doing some research as to what was possible. So originally we had asked various different doctors. Olivia, I guess, was a little bit higher functioning, so she originally wasn't diagnosed with autism until a bit later on. We went through a series of different tests and different doctors where the doctors were suggesting different areas where she needed assistance, but she wasn't formally diagnosed as autistic until a bit later. And really that diagnosis is what prompted a lot of that research. So she went from she was believed to have vision issues, other issues that were leading to some of the speech delays and educational delays. And then that autistic diagnosis is when really started to research a bit more. All right, what can we do? And that's when we found the Duke study and tried to get into the trial, and eventually that led to getting into expanded access.
And did you have to end up doing a lot of that research yourselves, or was your doctors and your care team able to give you that information?
It was definitely more Shawn researching, especially even her pediatrician didn't know much about stem cells. So she was very interested in learning more, but it was so new when we started it that we were more educating other people than the other way around. But once we reached out to Duke was as responsive they could be, because they were so overwhelmed with feedback. Everybody wanted into the program. So we were lucky. We're one of the, the first few maybe that got into the expanded access program, because we had already started we started researching already about the trials and everything. So we were right up there on the list.
And I don't know if it was necessarily a part of the trial or not, but I remember that one of Duke's requirements was we had to go through the genetic testing. So I think it was prior to them determining we were going to go the expanded access route, we did genetic testing through Rutgers. And even then, Rutgers now does a lot more with stem cells. But back when we did the genetic testing through them, it wasn't something they had even offered at that time. So even in the academic setting, it wasn't something that appeared to really be well known. As Duke kind of led the way through the research and finding them. It's kind of what helped us through the process.
Yeah, I think we've got so many families now who we've released the stem cells for Duke, and there's others, Rutgers and Riley Children's Hospital. And I think that's one of the incredible things in this industry is that there's so much scientific advancement, even in these past few years of what they're able to use. We've got stem cells that are in clinical trials for autism, or FDA-approved treatments for sickle cell. And it's pretty incredible to see that, one single decision that you make to bank your child's cord blood or their tissues, 9 months or a few months before they're born can make such a significant impact for that. So I'd love to learn more and share with our listeners how the actual process works. So once you guys connected with Duke and Duke accepted Olivia in the open or early access, expanded access program, what was that actual process like? How long was the treatment? Did you have to do a bunch of testing leading up to it, or?
Well, I think trying to get into the trial was a lot of the testing, but once we were accepted into the early access program, it was more waiting for them to basically have an opening. We had once they were all right, we can do this. It was call up to get our stem cells, which was really the easiest part. I called. They're like, oh, yep, we work with Duke all the time, no problem, easy, and sent it over. And then it was more measuring her weight, height, and it was pretty easy at that point.
Yeah. So, and a lot of it was kind of that determination between the trial versus expanded access. We went through quite a bit of testing to make sure she qualified, but once we got into the expanded access program, it was pretty seamless. It was just making sure they had all the right results, answering questionnaires, getting the information to make sure she qualified, and then scheduling and that sort of thing. But Duke and themselves, and I think even now, they have pretty high demand. So really, it's just kind of going through that vetting process to make sure she meets all the criteria.
Awesome. And the actual day of the procedure was a pretty quick process for you guys. It was a near in and out, kind of blink of an eye, right?
Well, we went the day before, they did rechecked her height and weight to make sure everything was right with it. And then the next day, we just waited by the phone because they like to do it, within an hour, they said, an hour. And then we went there, and 15 minutes of stem cells and then 45 minutes of pushing fluid, and you're done, you're out.
Yeah. And
It's
Duke's
pretty
really
simple process at that point.
Duke's really good about making sure it's as easy as possible on the kids. So they have like a musician there. Basically, a musician calms them down. They get everything set up so the kids aren't even aware of kind of what's going on around them. They start the transfusion. Literally sings them to sleep. They fall asleep. And half hour later of observation, we were out of there.
That's so incredible how fast that was. And did you guys notice an immediate difference after the transfusion, or what noticeable changes did you guys have?
Well, I say they even warned us that I guess after stem cells, sometimes the child can be a little bit hyper more than usual. So it was more watching her a little bit go crazy. Then suddenly we just started noticing little things with her speech that was improving. And I guess being a parent and you see your child every day, I think you miss a little bit. So when we got it done, it was end of January, and then Easter was in, I believe, March that year. And it was our family that actually noticed more of an improvement. The eye contact was a lot better, her engaging in speech. It was more them pointing out things, and then we're like, oh yeah, we do see that.
And just from having it in January, a lot of them saw around the holidays in December, and seeing her between that December to March timeframe, that couple month difference, it was pretty noticeable by everyone around her. Her just general social interaction was significantly improved. And they kind of joke with us to kind of the activity. It's one of those things where the transfusion took and it's making a difference because you're going to see the behavior, even if it's just them having a little bit more energy. So it's kind of that noticeable change from, all right, it's definitely doing something. It's impacting her, and then having all the family say all the noticeable positive differences that they experienced, and then just continue to progress from there.
It's so incredible. And just a 15-minute transfusion made that much significant impact. I mean, that's just inspiring for me to hear that. It makes my heart so full. So I'd love to know, talking a little bit more about the comparative differences between before she had the transfusion and after. You touched on a little bit of them, having her speech improved. And Shawn, I think in some of our conversations that we've had before, you had some teachers telling you that, don't spend a lot of time in it. This is how she is. She'll never improve for that. I'd love to have you kind of share that experience with our listeners.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I really started doing the research. So she was in speech therapy, and
it was outpatient speech therapy too. So we were going through the hospital. So, and I think that was the biggest thing where they kept ending the sessions early, and why are you ending the sessions early? Well, she's just not focused enough. I don't think she's ever going to speak. You need to get another way for her to communicate, which was the electronic way. And we just could not believe that was their only option. At that time, I think she was 3.5. It's like, there's got to be more, and that can't be it. And that's when we really started pushing to figure out what was going on with her. That's when we got the autism diagnosis afterwards. And we figured out, all right, we need a different approach. And we figured stem cells was the best way through Duke.
Yeah. And a lot of that too was when we were talking to the speech therapist, we were concerned that it wasn't just speech related, because of the fact that, like Amanda said, they're kind of just giving up. She's too distracted, whatever. And she was able to say simple words. She wasn't obviously having conversations. Her speaking ability was certainly limited, but the fact that she could say some words and was able to communicate a little bit, we didn't want to just give up and immediately just go the electronic route. So that's really where we pushed to find alternatives, and that's kind of how we progressed to here.
Yeah, so you guys are truly Olivia's biggest advocates, and really really fighting for. And I think that's so admirable as parents, just always trying to do the best for our children and giving them every single possible possibility that they have. So now I think Olivia may be able to join us for a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can go get her.
I have one other quick question, if you don't mind. Just in terms of Duke, did Duke give you any like clinical feedback in terms of improvement or anything like that?
So we did get information from them originally. A lot of the feedback was our discussions around the trial. In my opinion, we were lucky we didn't go the trial route, because the trial route you could get potential placebos. Expanded access, we knew she was not only getting stem cells, but she was getting her own. So we knew that was kind of one of the highest rates of success that Duke had saw. So they gave us a lot of information as to the results of the trial and what they were seeing is part of that. So as we were going through the process, and especially leading up to going through expanded access, they provided quite a lot of context as to what they were seeing in other patients, what the trial results were, what some of the things we would expect. So again, it was kind of more of a forewarning and kind of joking in a way that, oh, you're going to see your kid be a little bit more hyperactive, and it's kind of that shock to their system to show that things are working. So they definitely gave us some of those anecdotal type of situations as to things we would see, as well as the clinical results as to what to expect.
I think they also said usually stem cells, whatever you see within the 6 months, that's it. That's what they noticed at the time. I don't know if it's changed now, because I think after opening it all up, and they've probably seen so many other kids that maybe things have changed. We know with Olivia, she's got the personality where she just keeps learning. So for her, she just keeps improving. It's just with the stem cells, we just noticed that big jump. It wasn't just progressing, it was this huge leap.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And from the clinical side of things too, they also did your typical clinical kind of information gathering. So post-treatment, they had periodic follow-ups where we had to answer questionnaires, kind of talk through things with them. I think we did a year meeting with them as a follow-up, kind of what the first year looked like. So they did take information kind of throughout that process too, because I think we were probably pretty early in the expanded access process. We were one of the first that was outside the trial. So they gathered quite a bit of information for that too.
Okay. Got it. And so did they share any of those like pre and post measurements with you or anything like that, or not?
Yeah, I remember we did get quite a bit of that. Kind of some of the observations they were getting. I don't remember exactly what it was we received, but I know that they did follow up quite a bit with some of the different results they were seeing with others. And like I said, part of that was, I think, trying to put into context what we were seeing as results and how that, I guess, collaborates with what others saw and what they were seeing in the previous trial results.
I think they also reached out when they started doing the sibling cells as well, which is they're only allowing right now one sibling donor one time. They're not opening to non-relative donors as of yet. So I think they at least keep us in the loop that way as well.
So we had her, we also banked her sibling, we had that tested. So it's a match, we could use it. We haven't yet, but they keep in touch just because of that as well.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Okay.
Very excited to meet Olivia. So I was a big kid fan. So we had one of our sales manager director was on a call with another, and their daycare had gotten quarantined. So she's home with little one. And I was like, we don't even need to have the meeting. Let's just play with the baby on the video chat.
Yeah, Olivia, like I said, she's definitely improved with her speech. She's just very to the point. We're trying to work on expanding that. She's funny. She loves her facts, fun facts.
Yes. One of my oldest kiddo, what he reads at night is the encyclopedia or the Animal Kingdom book, and tells me all the creepy crawly facts about spiders.
Yeah, some of them you don't want to know.
Hi, Olivia. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thanks for hopping on today. I'm excited to chat with you. You having a good summer?
Good.
Good. And you're in summer school, right? Or summer camp?
What summer camp do you go to? Tell them which summer camp you go to. Who's your teacher? Remember?
Miss Brittany.
Yeah, Miss Brittany's there with you. Yeah.
Brittany, is she super nice?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And how old are you now?
Did I have
Oh, you're 7?
8.5.
8.5.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. So you're almost 9 then.
9 very soon.
Very, very soon. Yeah. So now you like school and you like to read, and I heard you like to take role. Yeah.
You helped Mr. Gallo take attendance for summer camp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you pretty good at it?
Yes.
Yes. What do you like to do at summer camp?
Faces.
She's so used to being with her grandmother, making all the faces on the
I can make funny faces too, but not as good as you.
So what's your
I
favorite
like to
thing?
make funny
Summer camp.
faces. Yeah. So you're going in
Football.
Oh, say it again.
Flag football.
playing football?
Flag football.
Yeah, they do
Flag football. I have 2 little boys and they might play flag football this fall.
Let's
Do you have any
see.
tricks? What position do you play?
Do you know what position you play with flag football? Or don't you have positions?
You just try to get the flag.
She just runs the
Do
fastest.
you run?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Run the fastest?
Yeah.
Because I got twist on my ankle.
Oh.
Oh no.
Today in flag football, she twisted her ankle, but they play every day in summer camp. So every day she tells us about flag football and how she's the fastest.
I love it. I bet you are the fastest on both teams. They can't catch you, can they?
Can they catch you?
No. No. So Miss Olivia, what grade are we going into this year?
Great. What grade are you going into?
4th.
4th grade. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Are you excited about going into 4th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And see all your teachers and your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many friends do you have now?
3rd grade.
3 from 3rd grade.
From 3rd
Yes.
grade. Lots of friends. Are you excited to make friends in 4th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she, in summer school, she has 3 that go with her every day. So
Oh.
she goes to summer school for 2 hours in the morning, and then because the summer camp is at the school, they walk her over to the summer camp. So she gets to do summer camp for the afternoon.
Fun.
And you do field trips Wednesdays, right? Where'd you go on your field trip last week? What museum?
The Morristown Museum.
Oh yeah? Was that cool?
Uh-huh.
It was. What was your favorite part about that museum?
To see some dinosaurs.
Some dinosaurs. What kind of dinosaur is your favorite?
The Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus. Those are pretty cool. Those are pretty cool. I like the Velociraptor or Velociraptor. The ones that fly, those are fun. What's your second favorite dinosaur?
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yes, the king of the dinosaurs, right? Yeah. What else do you like to learn about?
What do you like to learn about?
Space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And can you name all the planets?
Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Neptune. And do we consider Pluto a planet or a star?
Planet.
Oh,
A planet. Yes.
it was, yeah.
It was.
It was. It was.
How
I
many days did it
love
take to get to the
space.
moon?
Oh,
3 days.
3 days to get to the moon.
nice.
Tell Casey, where do you want to go on vacation?
To Thailand when I would be bigger.
To Thailand.
To
A little
Thailand.
bit bigger until we go to Thailand.
A little bit bigger. It'd be so much fun to see all the different things and explore and take a big airplane across the water.
I think we all want to go to Thailand. Why not, right?
Yeah. Have you ever been on an airplane, Olivia?
Yeah.
You have. It's
Where
pretty
did we
fun,
go?
huh?
Remember where we went on an airplane? Remember?
What?
Where'd you go on vacation on an airplane?
To visit Florida.
Did you visit Florida? Did you happen to go to Disney World in Florida?
Uh-huh.
You did, and you saw all the princesses?
And I got a core.
Oh,
You got what?
A core.
Core. On the plane, you mean? You had the seat that we carried?
Mhm.
what's your favorite princess, my love?
Who's your favorite princess? It's a very difficult question.
Yes, I
It's a
think.
hard question because you have to choose one. You can't choose all of them.
Is it a princess or is it a different character?
No faces. Who's your favorite princess?
Think about it. Who's your favorite princess?
I don't know.
You don't know?
What's your favorite Disney character?
I don't know.
You don't
You don't
know?
know? Well, mine is Cinderella. She's my favorite.
You know
She's
Ava's?
beautiful.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, that's okay. That means you just have so many you can't choose. And that's all right because Disney's awesome. I love Disney. You saw the castle.
Is it your
Did you
favorite?
ride in the teacups?
Uh-huh. But I feel so sick.
You're not sick. You good
You
enough fun in the
sick?
meeting?
Are you? Well, Miss Olivia, thank you for hopping on and chatting with us.
You want to tell her your favorite princess, or you done with questions?
Cinderella.
That was her favorite, yes.
That's my favorite too. That means we're twins.
Yeah. When you went to Bippity Boppity Boutique, who'd you dress up as? Did you get dressed up as a princess?
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. That was Ava, yeah.
And I got
What'd you get? Do you remember? What was your favorite ride at Disney? You'll know that one. Remember your favorite ride?
yeah.
What is it?
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
You like the mini pictures of Winnie the Pooh?
The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Yes, there's a lot of rides to choose from.
Yeah, I like that one too. I can't believe it that.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited that I had a chance to chat with you and get to see you and hear about all of your adventures in summer camp. And you're going into 4th grade. You're going to do great and have all the friends, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, my dear. It's exciting to chat with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You wait, bye.
Bye, Dad.
Goodbye.
You're gonna read all their names?
Bye, Courtney.
You want to go back upstairs?
Bye.
It's Marty.
Bye, Monty.
Okay,
Bye, Casey.
so.
Bye, dear.
You can go upstairs if you want.
Go ahead, go see
Okay.
Splendid.
Bye, Olivia. All right. Well, my heart has just melted into a million pieces right now.
the best way to encourage her speech is the fun facts. Talk about space, talk about Thailand, out of all the places we want to go in the world, and 9-year-old Thailand. I was like, okay.
If you want any science, earth, space fact, she's got them all memorized.
I love it. I'm so impressed because if you ask me, I couldn't cite all of the planets in the right order. I'd have at least 2 backwards.
Yeah, and she just learned that. She tries to go through every single fact and she keeps saying she wants to go to space camp, and a lot of it I keep telling you have to be a little bit older for, but yeah, she loves all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she got an atlas book and then found facts about Thailand. Is now she found it on her globe and is set. That's where we need to go next.
I love it. I love it. Well, start saving, Mom and Dad. You guys will get there soon. So 2-week vacation, maybe 3.
Well, that's what I told her. It's a long way to get there. You know, I
Can't go there a week.
No,
no.
need a lot longer. So I loved just hearing Olivia's speech and having her with the full, you can definitely tell just from what you guys said you experienced before, how much of an impact and a change it's been. She seems like any other 8.5-year-old, not 7, almost 9.
I've tried to remind her birthday's in 2 weeks. She's not 8.5 anymore. She's convinced you gotta have the 8.5 because you can't say almost 9.
She doesn't want to be just 8, but she's not just 9. Yes. So awesome. Marty, did you have any other kind of questions? Or?
No, just glad, so nice, great to hear the story here. And I actually have twin 8.5-year-olds coming up on 9, and so yeah, we've been through our own kind of learning challenges and a little different, but definitely can connect with some of what you've been through. And so just glad again to and grateful to hear the story from you all. Thank you for sharing it.
For her, I mean, you can tell the significant advantages. She still has some of the quirkiness that comes along with typical autistic kids, so you can still kind of enjoy that and get to interact with her that way. But I mean, even just the basic question and answer and being able to have that conversational skill, that's something that I'm not sure she would have ever had without the stem cells. Something that
being able to hold a conversation, I feel like even with us, it's not just yes, no, which we were afraid that might have ended up being all she was able to do. We didn't want her to only be able to use the machine to do it either. I mean, we're lucky we live in a time where there's a lot of companies that are opening up more for autistic and other disability children, but just getting her to the point where she can, her speech is a little bit better. She has so many more opportunities now than she would have if we just, I guess, let it be and just hope for the best.
I was pretty impressed that she had the, just attention span to sit there for a little while and answer questions. I think my kids would have been totally just bailing out after about 10 seconds.
Yeah, after summer camp, she kind of wants to de-stress a little bit. So she was able to have that little half an hour. So we got a little bit out of her.
Even that social awareness is something that she wouldn't have had previously. The social awareness to test you, to say, oh, I'm not feeling well, and see if she can just end the conversation and like, no, answer the question. And she's like, all right, I'll have a conversation. And she keep talking, keep answering questions. It's just, I mean, to me, that's the more fun part of her personality, is that she's able to do that now, which previously, whether she was feeling that or not, that's not something she would have ever even thought to communicate or would have tried to communicate. So I think just being able to have that awareness of kind of the social setting and the conversation is huge difference.
And I think maybe just the last thing I'll say is, if there's anything else that we can do or I can do, feel free, Casey can connect you with my information directly. If you ever have any questions or need someone to speak to or want someone to advocate for you somewhere, let me know and I'll be happy to do that.
Convince Duke or Rutgers to take donor cells so we don't have to go to Panama.
Or insurance companies to get on board now.
Thinking about that. Okay.
We're exploring other options. We prefer to go back to Duke, but I talked to them recently and they told me our only option is the sibling cells still.
Interesting.
So
Are you looking at that Panama clinic?
that's
We're thinking about
probably
it,
where we're
yeah,
going.
because now it's the same price as Duke, and you get more cells at Panama. So
Yeah, and it's donor cells, so we don't have to use her sister's.
yeah,
I know some people that have been treated there. They said it was a great experience.
that we have a Facebook group that unfortunately some people that weren't able to store their cells go there, but then Duke denies them if they decide to bank, like they get pregnant, they bank their cells. Duke won't take you if you've gone to Panama. So that's kind of one of the things that's making us a little hesitant about it, is once we do that, Duke's out.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, we would have already gone, because we haven't heard a single person with a negative story. The only negative is that it could limit us from getting treatment at Duke in the future. And since she already went once, we wanted to hold that out. But I mean, she's getting to the point where kind of under the impression that she's getting too old to wait. So I think we're just going to go the Panama route this spring.
Interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing that as well.
Yeah, keep us posted definitely on that. But I did have one last question, is that for other listeners or family members who are considering to bank their child's stem cells, what advice would you tell them?
From our experience, I think just making the decision early, getting it all set up, getting everything squared away. So when we're actually during the childbirth process, it's all ready to go. I think makes a big difference. And kind of as we discussed here, the awareness of the possibility of treatment is just continuing to expand. I think as science continues to learn new uses, there's just going to be more possibilities. So if you're able to, I think it's definitely a decision worth considering, and just getting everything set up. It's a pretty straightforward and easy process once everything's in place. So when you are giving childbirth, it's one less thing to worry about because it's already in place. And from our experience, doctors are very familiar with the process and are able to do it quickly and easily.
I also think one of the main things is you can't go back. If you don't do it, it's gone. You don't have the option to go back and change things. And I think one of the only things I've ever heard anybody complain about is, well, it's just so much money. What if I don't use it? But there's a good chance you might, and then you're waiting on wait lists. You're going through something totally different than if you, I mean, I just feel like it's not throwing away money. You might use it, or a sibling might use it, family member, if they can match. It's a good investment, I guess. It's about what I think.
And we bank both our children. So even before we had used it, we still banked her younger sister's, because it was one of those situations. We had a positive experience the first time. It was easy and straightforward. Kind of wanted to at least have it as an option if for whatever reason either the kids out there ever needed it. So we had it there available to us just in case.
Love that. And then is there anything else that you guys want to share that we didn't cover to chat on?
The only thing is, are you guys doing any different payment options for people that might not be able to afford it?
So
I always wonder that, because I know when we did it, it was only you pay the fee, and then either you did, like I mentioned, the yearly storage or the 18 years at a discount. Is there any other payment options for people that might not be able to afford it all up front?
yeah. So we've got 24 and 48 month payment plans now.
Oh, okay.
Too. So we've got a few different, and then our sales team has some flexibility to do even kind of some further flexibility in payment plans. And then we also have our AmeriCorps Cares program, which is out there. So that's if they have a sibling. So if Olivia was diagnosed with autism, or excuse me, it has to be an FDA-approved treatment. But if Olivia was diagnosed with an FDA-approved treatment and you guys were pregnant with Ava, we would offer discounting or even up to free storage for Ava for storing that. So we do have kind of the family, because our biggest thing is we're not in the business to store just to store, but we want actual real world application where families are able to benefit from these stem cells, whether it's a clinical trial in autism or, leukemia or something of that nature. And so we want to make it as flexible and affordable as possible to give every single family. who
I just
needs
didn't know because obviously we're not having anymore, so I have never looked. But it's nice
Yeah.
to, if people are asking about it, be like, oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of payment options now, like, so it's easy.
Yeah.
Definitely not having any more kids. But the other question I have is, I know when we were researching it for Ava, I think it's changed. I think I read somewhere it's since changed. But you have also like multiple storage facilities and places where it's stored too, because that was really
There was a big contamination right after Olivia was born at one, not America, but somewhere else.
So
That
that's-
was
I think it was in
I
California
you
somewhere.
remember what? Yeah. So
So-
all of them were infected.
Yeah, so we banked with a separate provider because we weren't sure if you had one or multiple locations.
Mhm.
So we ended up with Ava after reading about that, went with another provider because we weren't sure. So I think just from a, I guess, user base or education perspective, I think the sibling decision would have been different had we known, and probably should have looked into that a bit more. But that was the only question I had.
Yeah. So right now we've got, oh, go ahead, Marty.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we do have samples at several locations in the US. We don't co-locate like in individuals, like your samples wouldn't be in like 3 different places.
Yeah.
Just because there's increased kind of risk with shipping and all that, but there are samples in different locations as of right now.
So would there be an option to have like siblings in alternative locations so they're not stored together?
Possibly. I think if I think if there's a request for that, we could definitely consider it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's even any more issues with that, but when we were storing it, for some reason, that was the year something happened and a lot got contaminated and they were just.
when it comes to this stuff, way too risk adverse. So that was my one logic, is that if something is going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong for us. So might as well go with another provider, because I know it has to be in 2 locations at that point. But I know when we looked into it, it wasn't clear. So that's something I'd always wondered.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting perspective. I'm glad you shared that with us, because we're one of the really exciting things, we haven't told a lot of people, what we're going through an entire brand redesign. So new logo, new website, just a new look and feel. So we're working on marketing messaging and just what information consumers are, wanting to know to make their decision.
I would say the only thing we've heard about, because obviously being part of like groups or even the autism groups, is more like the financial aspect of it and just being aware of everything that stem cells is being used for, because a lot of people didn't know that it wasn't just this or that. There's actually a huge list of it now. And I think it's great to push that. I mean, you can only bank them once you can.
Yeah, we've got tons of questions over the years about the cost. It's one of the things that most consistently people have asked us about in our experience.
Yeah, it's definitely insightful. And now it's not just the cord blood that you have the option to bank too, but you can bank the cord tissue and the placental tissue, and different aspects of it, which even broadens the treatment options significantly more.
I think we did the cells and the tissue.
Yeah.
I think
We
that was
did.
what you were doing then.
Yeah, for both kids, we did the most comprehensive that was available at the time. Whatever the availability was, we did everything.
Yeah, give them as much options as they can in the future. So yeah, absolutely. All right, Courtney or Jared, did you guys have any questions that you wanted to ask? Courtney, I know this is your first day, so.
I don't think I have any questions, but it was really insightful to just listen and hear about this. So thank you for sharing, and thanks everyone else for allowing me to just listen in today.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was very nice to meet you all, and thanks for letting me sit in. And I was just trying to chat in that my stepmother has multiple sclerosis, and so she went to Panama for a treatment, and it was good for what that's worth.
Everything we've ever heard is positive. It's just the trying to not get excluded from Duke in the future, but giving up hope that they're going to allow donors anytime soon.
Yeah, with that, if you guys went, I know Duke is kind of like the creme de la creme, but would like Riley's Children's Hospital or
Well,
Rutgers or?
I can't remember who sent it to me. One of you all sent me the information on, is it MD Anderson? Somebody else. There's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I contacted every single one of them, and
Mhm.
every single one of them told me the same thing. If
Same
we
thing
want
as-
to go, we have to use Ava's.
Okay.
So I contacted all of them, and for whatever reason, and I think understandably, it's probably for FDA purposes. In the US, they're not using donors. And from what I was told, they're not using donor cells for any type of treatment. It's not just the autism trials, it's for any type of treatment. They're not currently using donors. And I think that's really in the US the biggest limiting factor. And even now that Rutgers is more recent, Rutgers is doing it through Duke's expanded access program.
Well,
I think MD Anderson's the same way. They're all using what Duke did to be able to provide the treatment. I think because they're tied to the prior trials, nobody's willing to deviate.
Well, I also think when we did it, Duke through our insurance was using it as a brain injury. So our insurance would cover it. Our insurance has decided, I think in the last maybe 2 years, that they're not covering it anymore. So when you think about the costs, now families are spending about $15,000 to go to Duke. It's not any more expensive to go to Panama, and you're getting more cells in Panama. So it's really hard for us because there's a lot of benefits from us wanting to go to Panama. It's just are we done with Duke, or do we see what happens?
And at that point, if you're paying a little bit out of pocket, you might as well spend a little bit more to go to Panama. And the alternative is if you didn't bank your kids' cells, the cost of banking them plus the cost of travel would net out to be about the same anyway. So I think a lot more people are justifying going that route just because the possibility exists. And in our situation, it's really our only option other than using Ava's. Or I guess the alternative is we wait until Duke decides that's going to change, or the FDA decides that's going to change.
Right. And yeah, those things tend to take time for it.
Yeah.
So
And it's not a situation where at least we're not the most patient. So waiting it out is not the easiest thing to do. We've waited 3 years. Waiting much longer seems like an eternity.
yeah, I don't think I've met a single person who's truly patient in all aspects of life. There's always something that you're a bit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think with COVID, people have learned to be patient between all the
Yes.
appointments that take now a year to get in.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
really
we
do
were
much.
talking to a family last week with they had treated their son with sickle cell, and the whole entire process took about 1.5 years because of COVID. They started right when kind of COVID happened, and everything just delayed so much for that.
I joked with Amanda. We managed to wait 3 years without going to Panama, so we might as well award ourselves certification to Panama. So it's like I can't
That's a
believe we
week-long
would-
process. It's a little bit longer than what Duke would do. They do infusions Monday through Thursday,
Mhm.
and then on Friday they do a check. So it's different than Duke, where it's a one-day thing. You stay just in case, call the next day, and you're gone. So Panama's a little more in depth and time consuming.
Yeah. Well, you might have to fight Olivia and if you go to Panama before Thailand. So
Well, I try to tell her maybe 13. So now that's her thing. I gotta be older. I gotta be 13 before I go.
I've already set.
She already picked out her hotel that she wants to go to that they say is really good.
She's doing a lot of research, but I've already set it up. I told her we have to go on other vacations successfully first before a flight that long. So
There you go.
she's
Build
already
her up.
researching.
Love it. I love it. Well, I am so excited to see what Olivia does in the future and where she continues to progress. It's been phenomenal just hearing her journey and the story and what you guys have been able to accomplish by using her stem cells. So again, I really, really want to say thank you guys for all of that you've done as the AmeriCord ambassadors, but too just coming on and sharing your story. So it's been an absolute privilege. If you guys want to learn more about cord blood banking or cord tissue or placental tissue banking, our sales team and our AmeriCord team are happy to help answer any questions that you have. And we look forward to helping you now and in the future. All right, thanks guys.